un coach, los 3 coaches que hecho un impacto en su negocio.
Bueno, yo tengo varios y no hemos llegado a los otros, pero te voy a explicar.
No, pero este 3.
Sí.
Usted lo contrató porque había una capacidad intelectual en una experiencia específica con la parte que necesitaba ayuda.
Sí.
La primera era SOBs.
Sí. La primera...
No, a Real Estate Owned Banking.
REO.
REO.
Ajá, REO. Esas son propiedades que son del banco, que
Okay.
ya el banco la ha cogido. Yo sabía que yo quería entrar a ese mercado.
Okay.
No tenía ni idea cómo comenzar.
Okay.
Y cuando comencé a buscar un mentor, dije, bueno, tengo que buscar a alguien que yo pueda decir, así es que yo quiero que mi negocio sea. Alguien que ya no solamente tenía los contactos, que tenía la experiencia, que tenía el equipo, pero que estaba dispuesto a enseñarme una forma que me iba a motivar. Y ahí fue que yo comencé a entrevistar.
Fala, turma! Bem-vindo a mais um episódio do Imigrante Rico com seu host, Thiago Prado. Today I'm going to do this in 2 languages, maybe 3, because, you know, our guest, she speaks Spanish and English and Portuñol, which is what I do too. So, welcome to an English, Spanish, Portuguese version of the Imigrante Rico podcast. Something very unusual, but since you follow me, you want to become an entrepreneur, and I speak of cultural integration, this episode, it's literally just about that. And in order for me to make this an exceptional experience for you, bear with us. Maybe you might have to watch it twice because they will be full of insights. This person here today, she is a natural entrepreneur. I don't know if there is such a thing, but you know, she will tell you her story. And you will make up your mind and you will leave a comment. It will tell me, what do you think and how can we do better? I hope to bring these types of interviews for you. I know you're in Japan, you might be in Australia, you might be in Europe, you might be in Brazil or Canada following us. And I know it might be challenging to understand what we're saying. So this guest today, her and I, we're committed to speak as clearly as possible to help you to absorb every single key insight from her trajectory. So stay with us. There will be subtitles, and you can always put it to translate as well. So thank you for following us from all corners of the world. And this podcast will not be possible without our supporters. BRZ Insurance, the #1 insurance brokerage for Latinos here in the U.S. Casacon, the #1 financial company for Brazilians thinking of buying a home back in Brazil. So if you want to know more about this, we'll put the link there. Go to the website. And finally, now, if you dream of buying a home in the U.S., if that's what you're thinking, this lady here today, Michelle Fermin, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Pleasure to meet you.
It's been a while we've been talking about this.
I know. I feel like I know you. That's the best part. It's like, and I do know you, but not, you know, not personally, right? I think this is the first time
This is the first time
that we actually meet in person.
Yes, even though we've been talking for a
We've
while.
done business together. We've agreed and disagreed.
Yes.
We've merged halfway.
Yes, yes. But I think with today, with so much social media, it's very easy to get to know someone
That is true.
that's consistently on there. So,
Yeah.
so I meet a lot of people like yourself. It's like, I feel like I know you.
I know. I know you. You know, I missed the Christmas party, unfortunately,
did,
but yeah,
you did.
this year we're gonna be there.
Good.
But Michelle Fermin, it is a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.
You
Pleasure's
have
mine.
an amazing trajectory, an entrepreneur trajectory, a life story that needs to be shared. And what you've been able to build, you know, it's commendable, #1. It's inspiring, #2. And 3, I want to know if it was luck, if it magically happened, because often people look at you today and they don't know what happened throughout, your life, right?
Your journey.
Your journey. People have a tendency of looking at the metal pole, looking at you on the top, and they don't remember all the injuries, the surgeries, the recoveries, and all the effort that took for you to get there. So do you believe there's luck in entrepreneurship?
I think there's a little luck, right? But I'm going to say 99% of it is mindset. 99% of it is, within that 99, mindset, planning, coaching, surrounding yourself with those right people.
Ecosystem.
Yes, that is such a big component of it. And it's shocking. I actually put up a post yesterday and I was talking about the people that have helped me along the way. And it really set me to start thinking. I was like, wow, I've had the luck, right? That luck of being able to find the right people. But I was open-minded and willing to accept, right?
That's key.
And that's
How many
key.
people meet the right people are not ready for that?
I'm a sponge. So it's funny, you're talking to me about certain things and I'm listening.
We're going to get there.
Yes.
We're going to get there. See why you should watch this until the end. It's going to be amazing. But, I've learned something new today.
And what was that?
Where were you born?
I was born here. I was born in Lawrence, Massachusetts.
So you're a Lawrence
to
girl.
Immigrant parents, yes.
North side.
Yes. Yes. When I was born, I actually was in the worst possible street on Park Street at the time.
Okay.
And it was, just think of the worst of the worst. That's where we were born.
I lived in Lawrence for about a month.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah, I ran away from home. I think I was, 15, 16.
Oh.
Near the Domino's.
Yes.
Yeah, I rented a room there for...
Oh, my God. That's so funny.
Long story. One day I'll tell you. I was a troubled child.
So was I. So I guess we have a lot in common.
I guess that's what it takes, right? The bottom of the class usually outperforms in the long run.
There you go. It makes us rougher, right?
So you were born in Lawrence. How old were you when you moved back to DR?
So my father was very entrepreneurial,
Okay.
even though he only had a 4th grade education.
Okay.
So I must have been around 4 or 5 when my dad decided to move back to the DR. We moved to Santiago, in
Okay.
República Dominicana. He had a shoe factory. And it was 11 months later that he literally went bankrupt.
Oh, wow.
Now, during that time, they had put me in an all Spanish-speaking school, so I
Okay.
completely forgot English.
Okay.
Came back, and when I came back, I went into ESL.
Oh, wow.
I knew
How old are you when you returned?
I was 6.
Do you have more siblings?
I do. My brother, but my brother has passed on.
So it was only the two of you?
Yes. Yeah.
So the two of you, was he older or younger?
My brother was younger than
He was
me.
younger than you?
Yeah, he
So-
would have been 45.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So you guys grew up together in Lawrence when you came back
We
again?
grew up together. We lived here for a few more years. And my dad, being as entrepreneurial as he was, he quickly started, going into other things. And he was able to build a pretty successful business. And we moved back to Dominican Republic around the time that I was 9.
Got it.
But this was a completely different life set. So when we moved back to Dominican Republic, and like I was saying to you before, similar to Brazil and a lot of these other countries, there was no middle class, right?
Right.
So we were very privileged.
Mm-hmm.
That went to the best schools.
So between 6 to 9, your dad built a business, turned things around,
Yeah.
made money,
We moved
and went back again.
Yeah. So very.
Now I get it where you get the jeans from.
Well, he was just go, go, go.
Yeah.
And my dad made the mistake of putting all of his eggs in one basket.
Okay.
And one day, all of his funds were in una financiera.
Okay.
Financiera, think of like a bank where it pays
Yeah.
you a high net interest. One day he goes, knocks on the door. They said, sorry, we're bankrupt. And we had lost everything.
Wow.
So I remember I was 13.
Wow. So he went broke twice.
He went bankrupt twice. Yeah. And I remember like the next week, they were selling everything. My bed, our furniture, everything. Trying to collect what they could so that we could move back. But this time when we moved back, I could see his mindset had changed. To go through that and come back and go through that and come back, it was definitely challenging. Yeah. And even for me, I was like, wait, what do you mean? Who's going to help me clean my room? Who's going to cook for me? Where's the chauffeur? So it was a reality of, this is real life. And we moved into an apartment on the 3rd floor in Salem Street.
In Lawrence again.
In Lawrence. We were in Lawrence. And a lot of people knew my family here. And it was this time I could see my dad's head hanging low, which affected the whole family.
Yes.
Right? And again, that goes into mindset.
But there was something very interesting that you shared earlier, in this backstage. You said that your dad conditioned you for...
So they used to always tell me that I was meant for greatness. Literally, all the time. You're going to be... My father wanted me to be a businesswoman. He would always say, you're going to be a businesswoman. You're meant for greatness. You're meant for greatness. One of my friends, who's still my best friend today, she reminds me that she came to my house one day, and I got up and... I asked my mom to make me breakfast, and my friend was surprised. She was like, well, why aren't you making your own breakfast? And my mom said, no, my daughter's meant for greatness. And that stuck with me.
Yeah.
That always stuck with me. But I came back and we started high school, and I remember being bored out of my mind. Because our education in Dominican Republic was phenomenal.
Yeah.
We were just talking about that. And coming back here and being bored out of my mind. And one day we went to Market Basket, our local supermarket, and my mom said to me, why don't you go hang out over there? And I could see stress in her.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, well, what's going on? And she was about to pay. And at that time, food stamps were actually coupons.
Right.
And she whipped out some coupons. I'm looking at her from the corner of my eye. I'm like, what the hell is she doing? And when she went back and we left, we went into the car, I looked at her, I said, what's going on? What were you doing? Why didn't you want me to see? She said, I didn't want you to see, because she was disappointed in herself.
Wow.
And then she again said, you were meant for greatness. This is not going to define you, which made a really big impact in my life.
And how old are you back then?
I was 14.
14.
Yeah. The following week I went in, I was in high school. I went in and I forged paperwork saying that I was going over to a different school, which was a complete lie.
Right.
I went and started working at that Market Basket.
Wow.
And I think I was making like $3.75, some ridiculous amount. And I quickly learned that, first of all, I had to tell my mom, who was pissed.
Yep.
What do you mean you quit school? I was like, no, I need to help the family. That
Yep.
was my mindset. I need to help the family because I saw them struggling. But at a very young age, I learned if I stay in this lifestyle of making minimum wage with just a minimum standard, I will be here forever.
Right.
And I was lucky enough that I found a gentleman who really saw a lot in me. And he said, you can't do this. Let me help you. What is it you want to do? And I said, I need to help my family. And I started a cleaning business with his mentorship.
Amazing.
Yeah, and I built
And how old were you?
I was 15.
So you started your first company at 15.
Yeah.
And it was a cleaning business.
Yes. We sold it a few years later. And I remember I made like $35,000. And $35,000
Back then was a lot of money.
That was the equivalent of $3 million.
I know.
It was
it
like,
was
I'm
a lot
rich.
of money. $35,000. I mean, what year was this?
So this was 30 years ago.
Yeah, so we're saying 1992,
Yeah.
4. Yeah, $35,000, you could buy a house in Somerville, just to put things into perspective, right?
I thought I was, that's it. I'm set for life. I quickly realized that wasn't the case.
Yeah.
And I started working on my second business. And I opened up my second business. And during that time, my mom had the same dream that many of us do, right? Which is home ownership. She wanted to have that home ownership dream here. And she got approved for $95,000, which at that time was under fair market value. Right. So we couldn't really find help. And I said to her, don't worry, I'll go get my license. Right. As if I could just go down to the bodega and pick it up. But I did, and she was my first client. So my mom was my first client. And the next day after we closed, her best friend came over and said, well, if your mom did it, I want to do it. And then the neighbors came, and then the neighbors and other people came.
And you started helping them?
First year I was Rookie of the Year. Yeah.
Wow. And
it was something that I thought, I'm going to go in and out. And then I thought, well, maybe this is my calling. And by my third...
So what year was this? Like you say 92, 93?
So I've been doing this 25 years.
So early 2000s.
Yeah. So first year was Rookie of the Year. And then I thought, wait, there's something to this. There's something to this real estate. a few years later, I got offered a partnership in that same Century 21 that had helped us with my mom's purchase.
So what happened in between the cleaning and the real estate? What did you do?
So again, I was young.
Yeah.
And I had no idea what to do. And I was,
Right.
like I said, I was very lucky that I found mentorship.
Right.
And the gentleman that was helping me, he owned also a larger cleaning company. And he kept embedding in me, you need to grow. What's the next
Was
step?
he Dominican
What's the next
too,
step?
or?
No, he was Caucasian.
He was Caucasian.
And he kept embedding me, you need to grow. What's the next step? What's the
And how
next
did you
step?
meet him?
Through work.
Through work
Yep.
at Market Basket.
No, I actually had a part-time job over at Malda Mills.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, the cool thing here is, so you were open to the idea.
Yes.
You're hungry.
Yep.
And, call it a mentor, right?
He was a mentor.
Yeah.
And the way that I looked at him is I said, hey, this person obviously is successful.
Yeah.
This person is teaching me something that is alien to me.
Right.
I need to absorb as much as I can. And I've kept that for the rest of my life. Whenever I meet someone, my goal is, what are the 3 things that I can take away from, this conversation?
What's the insights that I can take it with me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So my goal every day is to get 1% better.
I know.
Right? If you could just get 1% better.
One little thing. Go to sleep every day. I've learned something new today. But, this is one of the key factors that propel any human being. I use this in Portuguese, and I said, these are the factors that make immigrants successful in the U.S. But it's true for anyone, right? Mentorship. Like, I wouldn't be what I am without Chuck Joyce, my mentor.
Yes.
My mom used to clean his house, and one day he said, hey, man, don't go to the military. I'm going to pay for you to go to school.
Wow.
And this guy changed my life.
Wow.
So,
But you were open to it.
I was ready and
You were
open to it.
And I think that that's such a big component of it. Because I talk to so many people that tell me, I want you to help me do X, Y, and Z. And we go through mindset and, what is it you're doing? What's your daily life look like? And they say, well, I don't want to do that.
Right.
Well, then how are things going to change?
You know what I actually had to do? This is funny, though, that you're saying that, I decided to quit my ecosystem. And I didn't understand this theory of ecosystem. I used to hang out with troublemakers.
Yep.
So when Chuck came into my life, I was on a changing path. And I said, I need to stop clubbing.
Yep.
I need to quit the nightlife.
Yep.
I need to develop myself. And the only way to do it is to change my phone number, to move away from this crowd, and to dedicate 150% to this opportunity that I have right now. Because if I don't get this, I'm never going to do it again. How often do we hire individuals today? We give them the tools. We give them the opportunity. We give them the desk and the laptop.
Yeah.
We literally show them where the fish is. And all they have to do is put the effort.
Yep.
And they
And
don't
show up,
succeed.
yeah.
They don't show up.
Yeah.
Like, as a hiring manager today, it's one of my biggest frustrations. Because you had this share of luck meeting this individual who opened the door for you.
Yes.
At the age of 15, you built a company. You sold the company at the age of 18, 19?
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
That's how you build equity. A lot of people don't
Absolutely.
understand this. I mean, one of the fastest ways of building equity is actually building a business and selling.
Absolutely.
We can have this debate. I still think it's faster than actually, a property, but, it's equally at the same level.
I agree with you. And I was lucky because I went through a lot of ups and downs, and I became a self-made millionaire by the time I was 25. And then when the market crashed, it was all gone. I mean,
By 2001.
No, 2009. I mean, I was on the verge of bankruptcy.
Oh, so you went through the real estate collapse, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. I went from being a self-made millionaire to on the verge of filing bankruptcy.
Right.
Had lost everything. I was down to my last $10,000.
Wow.
I had lost all my properties. I had to short sell my primary residence. I went through all of my savings. I was literally hiding my $120,000 Range Rover thinking that it was going to get repossessed.
Yeah.
And while everybody started leaving saying this is too hard.
Right. Because
I
that's
thought-
what happens, right? The exodus.
Yes.
It's happening now.
Yes, it is.
Right? I mean, you look at the amount of realtors quitting
Yes, 100%. And even loan officers, whenever things get hard,
Right.
this is too much for me.
People flake out.
Yes, what's the next easy solution?
And what did you do?
I said, I need to reinvent myself.
Double down.
I need to double down. I need to really look at what my opportunities are. Everyone's leaving. What are the opportunities? And what I did was I invested in a coach who was phenomenal. When I tell you invested, I mean I was literally giving her 70% of whatever little money I was making. And I said, I need your help.
This is very important. This is key. If you're not paying attention to this, you know, focus on this here. I try to explain to people what you're going to say all the time, but now coming from a different source, they might listen. So tell us the relevance of it.
So it's completely relevant to everything. I remember sitting down with her. Her name is Coach Awana, who's ironically a coach of ours now. And I said to her, this is what's happening. I've lost it all.
Business coach.
Yes.
Yeah.
I lost it all. I know I have the willpower. I have the determination. You tell me, what do I need to do? Because I've obviously screwed this up.
Yeah.
How do I fix this? And we came up with a plan. So not only did we plan, I mean, step by step, this is exactly what we're going to do. But she changed my mindset.
Good.
Because at that point, I was just a salesperson. And she helped me realize something that,
Not a business owner.
yes, well, I was not.
That happens quite a lot, you know.
Of course.
In the Brazilian community.
Yes.
So we have Imigrante Day, right? So so it's Growth Day by Imigrante Rico, by this podcast. We put this event once a month now. And now, you know, our goal is to actually help entrepreneurs to change this mindset. Because this is key.
Yeah.
What you're describing right now, it is so relevant. To stop being the operator and start thinking like the owner.
That's right.
Two different
right.
things.
That's right. And one of the biggest components of what she really helped me change was my mindset, like we just said. But my mindset at that point was, it's too hard. The market's crashing. Nobody's buying. No one has money. And it was just me thinking all of these negative things as opposed to saying, this is the perfect opportunity. Everyone is leaving. How do I help my community? Where do people need help? And that's what I did.
Right.
So I went from being completely broke and, about to lose my house to within 2 years, I was selling over 100 homes. I had dominated the market.
Yeah, because it was beautiful. Whoever played that market,
Yes.
09 to 12,
Yep.
outperformed everyone over the last decade.
Well, but think about this. What I did was I looked at what is the real need.
Yeah.
Everyone else is leaving, and I knew there's a
Loan
need
modifications.
here. Yes.
I know.
I opened up a loan modification
I know.
company.
If there's one thing that I kick myself in the nuts when I look back, it's actually, I was in college back then. And I did help a few people with loan modifications because I had so much time available.
Yeah.
And in retrospect, I said, man, if I had started my lending company back then, yeah.
So I focused on loan modification.
Yeah.
I focused on short sales.
Yep.
And I focused on helping my community get out of these problems and then helping them get back on their feet so that they can buy again.
You became a go-to person.
I did.
In your neck of the
I
woods.
did. And you know what? Every penny I had left, I invested in myself and in my coach.
Yep.
Ooh, my billboard was everywhere.
Yeah.
My face was everywhere. I will help you. And I was truly invested in it. And it
Yes.
became my life. And before you knew it, I was selling more than I can possibly even handle.
Yeah.
And 2017 came and my then assistant said, we can't do it anymore by ourselves. And this is where the second part of that ever evolving, part of my business came into light. And I decided to start a team. But I started looking again into deeper coaching. And all right, how do I change? I'm at a CEO level, but I haven't really
Led the team.
Well, I haven't really started thinking about what's the next step and what's the next step. I was at this step. Okay, I'm a CEO and this is great. I'm making great money. But what's the next step? And then, we started a team, and the first year we were number 1 in the state. The next year we were number 1 in the country. And then in 2020, I get a call from our CEO, Mike Meadler. He said, you're number 1 in the world.
Wow.
And I remember thinking, wow.
Wow.
But my next question was, what's the next step?
Yeah.
How do we surpass that? And not only bring more value.
Don't tell me you start selling land in Mars.
Well, if that's an
Next
option, but you got to start thinking greater than that.
I was like, I'm going to call Elon Musk. Let's sell land in Mars.
Well, you got to start thinking greater, right?
Yeah.
How do I expand? How do I bring more to my community?
Yeah.
How do I really become the go-to person, not just in my area, but in the country,
right,
so that people can start seeing me in a different light,
right,
and not as a real estate agent, but as someone who can help you grow, right? And that's been my mission since 2020.
Right.
I think it's made a really big difference.
A really big difference.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense. So you went from bankrupt, short selling your property, hiding your Land Rover, to building a team in 10 years.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? 12 years, right?
Well, I was a solo agent for many years. I was selling I peaked at 160 some homes, which is crazy because if you look at the average in the States, most agents close 3 properties in a year.
But my question is, right, what is the edge?
Is there an edge?
You
can keep pushing that.
No, what's the differentiator, right? Because there are so many individuals out there that they really don't grasp what you just shared here, right? You are focusing on helping your community. You had a coach who designed the plan. You executed the plan. You're putting 70% of your revenue into that coach at one point in time because you're desperate at that moment and you needed help.
Yep. And I knew if I kept doing what I was doing, nothing was going to change.
Nothing was going to change.
Nothing was going to change.
And it's somewhat the definition of schizophrenia for a lot of these entrepreneurs.
Yep.
I know it's hurting me, but I'm going to do more of it.
Yep.
That's schizophrenic.
Yep.
I know it sounds horrible. Sometimes I get canceled for saying these these things, but it truly is. At what point you decided to seek help, and if you can give a piece of advice, at what point you decided to seek help, and what is the trigger, and how can you help the next Michelle who's watching us right now to know that, hey, this is the triggering moment, I need help?
So for me, I made a huge mistake, and I waited till I was desperate.
Okay.
And that is probably the biggest mistake that I've made. I thought that I can figure it all out. If I continue to do this, eventually it'll get better.
The Herculean.
Yeah. If I just keep going, it'll get better. And how is it going to get better if you continue to do the same thing that hasn't worked
over
for the
and
last
over
few
again?
Years? So that's what triggered me the first time, because I've had multiple coaches since then.
Right.
And I think that a big part of the success was, with my first coach, she took me as far as she could. Mm-hmm. And then at that point we said, you know what, I love you. You've done a great job. Thank you so much. What's next for me?
There you go.
I need to move on to somebody else. Of course.
Yeah, we outgrow the relationship.
Of course. So she was my first coach that really helped me shift my mindset from I'm a salesperson, I'm an employee, to I'm a CEO. Right. Then I went to my next coach who really helped me structure my team.
There you go.
Then I went to my next coach. So that second coach was Coach Lori. My third coach, which was Coach Andy, said, you know what? We're going to get tactical. We're going to get analytical.
Right.
Let's look at the tools.
The KPIs, the tools.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So you see, I usually joke around because I think I'm an amphibian when it comes to this, right? I built, BRZ with my business partners, but I'm the finance guy. That's my background. But I'm on the tech side, and I can sell.
Yep.
Which is a very unusual combination. When you think of running a business about sales, which you're really good at it, then the next step is about margins, and then the next step is about profits.
Yep.
Sales, margins, and profits, it's what drive businesses. If you can't sell, you're dead. I was actually having this debate for 3 hours with my business partner last night about who should make more money, the CFO or the head of sales. I'm like, the head of sales.
Of course.
Like, if the head of sales is not being incentivized properly,
he's out.
No, there's no CFO.
That's right.
There's no company. So, there's always this debate. And it's interesting that you had a coach to help you to go through the first phase, which is, all right, let's get out of survival mode and go to a growth mindset.
Yep.
So that's what she did initially, right? Survival mode, growth mindset.
Yep.
and then team building,
Yes.
which is management skills.
Yep. And building a foundation.
Right. And building the foundation. And then you went into becoming an entrepreneur, which is now looking at KPIs, so I can remove myself from the business.
Yep.
And I can look at the metrics, and then I can run this.
And that was the year when we switched over that we became number one in the world. That we said,
Brilliant.
how do we really look at things analytically? How do we really look at ROIs? You know, where every single penny that we're putting in, how much is it bringing back?
There you go. The return on invested capital.
Yep.
Yeah. So, you know, there are two formulas. Actually, you know, I like to do these things live. Hold on a second. I have a book. I think it's right there. Let's see. It's good to do it, you know. This is one of the books that every single entrepreneur.
Valuation.
Yes.
So it's valuation, and it's by
McKinsey
Okay.
and Company. So McKinsey is one of the largest consulting firms in the world, for those that don't know.
It's a heavy read.
It is a heavy read. But the key thing is this, right? I'm creating a program right now for entrepreneurs. And what I've noticed is that you have to start with the basics.
Yep.
Which is what this initial coach of yours did it. So I'm creating a 52-week program for entrepreneurs now. And I'm going to start with the basic math. A lot of guys don't know how to do fractions. And when you look at this book, we don't see integrals here. There are no derivatives. You know, we're not looking at escape velocity. We're not doing anything crazy. I mean, you know, it's basic math with averages.
Yep.
But if you don't know your averages, which is the KPIs, it cannot become the number one in the world. It
That's
cannot
right.
become a number one at anything.
That's right.
But the averages requires basic math. And then the next step is statistics.
Yep.
If you can't understand stats in running a business, you're trapped.
I completely agree with you.
And then it goes to the next step. Once you know math, stats, you need to know marketing.
Beyond that, I think SOPs is a very big component of it. And that's where our next coach came in. And he
Brilliant.
Literally laid it out for us.
The playbooks.
The playbooks, our standard operating practice.
Yeah, the playbooks.
Yes, and with those...
I hear we have all these bullshit KPIs, but at the end of the day, it's so simple. It's like playbooks.
And keeping track.
I know.
What's working? What's not? And that's where he really helped me.
Yeah.
You know, we put together playbooks for everything, for recruitment, for you name it, everything. Where's the money going? How are we planning our marketing? How are we planning our recruitment?
Right.
And we would keep track of what was working and what wasn't.
But the cool thing, and it's important to share here, and I think I wanted to take a very big step back and say, if you're at 3 million revenue a year, you don't have the funds to get to this level, but you can do something basic. When you get a 5 million revenue a year, then you can start hiring managers. When you get a 10 million revenue a year, then you have the means to actually hire professional managers.
Yep.
So the program that I've designed, it's based on all the mistakes that I've made, just like you. It's like
All expensive mistakes.
Oh my God, so many expensive mistakes. If you have the right coach, and the problem with coach in the Brazilian community and the Hispanic community, it's, you know, it's a bit, you have a lot of uneducated individuals
Yep.
that self-proclaim as coaches
And don't provide the value.
and don't provide the value. How were you able to distinguish, you know, I don't know if you call the fake ones, it's the right adjective, or, you know, the shenanigan from the legit ones?
So when I first started, I was really honest with myself and
Okay.
honest with them. This is what I'm looking for.
Okay.
I mean, I interviewed.
Okay.
And I understand what my personality type is. And
Yeah.
I was looking for a specific personality type
Well-
that was going to hold me accountable.
How
and
did
not,
you know your personality type?
Because, I mean, I know what I like. I took a dispersonality test. I asked others, where would you consider me? Because I wanted to get honest feedback.
Yeah.
You know, I knew that I was a driver. I
Yep.
knew that. I know that I'm very anxious. I know that I'm impatient.
Yep.
I know that I want things done now.
I could almost not tell.
And I wanted someone that was going to call me out on my bullshit.
Yeah.
You know, that says, Michelle, you know, this is what we're going to work on. I don't want you to sit here and tell me, oh, you're such a great salesperson.
I want you to...
No, this is what we're doing. This is what our task was. So I was very focused on what it was that I knew that we needed.
Yep.
And as we went through that, I said, thank you very much, Thiago. Our time is done.
Yep.
Help me find somebody else, because a good coach will do that for you.
That is another key point. So number one, I usually recommend people to look at their LinkedIn profiles. I truly find that former owner and operators who are consultants are the best.
Yep.
Former owner and operators with owning and operating experience are the best coaches. How can you teach something that you've never done it?
Of course.
So go to LinkedIn, try to look for those skills. Next, personality, right?
Yep.
Company culture.
Yep.
Does this individual fit within my culture, my communication skills,
100%.
my personality style? And then the next one, it's what you described. Like the third part is this individual intellectually honest with his own limitations or hers, right?
I agree.
Because there is a moment where that individual time expires. I mean, you don't have a coach in your company perpetually. It doesn't make sense. If that was the case, he would have started the company himself.
Yep.
So knowing when to say, hey, you know what? Thank you for your service.
We've gone as far as we can.
Move on.
Yep.
Yeah. Being able to part ways professionally and refer that person to the next,
But let me just give you a little secret, right? When I started with my coaching, the woman that started me with coaching, I wanted to get into REO. I looked for and REO is bank-owned properties. I looked for the best coach. She was selling 1,000 properties a year. She was #1 in the country. She had something that I wanted. And I said to her, I want to emulate your business. I looked up to her. She was already there.
Amazing.
That's what I want. When I got to my next coach, which is, hey, I want to start a team, the woman that I hired had not only created a team, but she had created a team and sold it, and then created another team and sold it. She'd already gone through that.
Thank you.
Right? The third person, and I'm sorry.
No, this is amazing.
The third person that I went to, I interviewed a bunch of coaches, and Andy Nazaroff was the CEO of Berkshire Hathaway, was completely a nerd, and I say that in the greatest way, Andy, I love you. But he was very tactical.
That's it.
He looked at my business. He said, Michelle, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
We need to do this, this, and this. And we literally went through all of the tech stack that we had, and we focused on what needs to get done. And he told me, these are the people that you're going to talk to. These are the companies we're going to get integrated with. And this is our process. But he had already done it.
Right.
It wasn't someone that was standing in the sidelines.
No.
Being an accountability partner.
Can I stop you real quick? Because this is so important. I'm going to do it in Portuguese, right? And I want you guys here, the media right now, my team, can you write this down, please? Write this down, the specific time, because this is a great cut. Okay? We're going to do this over again, and now we're going to do it in Spanish. Okay. So, vamos cortar aqui. Já marca o tempo desse vídeo em inglês, a gente vai fazer isso em espanhol. This is an amazing cut, right? Como que vocês vão editar esse vídeo? I want to stop here. I moved. I'm here. As soon as I moved, e vocês voltam e já pega agora em espanhol. Vamos hacer esto en español. Me explica aquí otra vez. Yo quiero en español y después me voy a hacer en portuñol. La importancia de esto. Un coach, los 3 coaches que hecho un impacto en su negocio.
Bueno, yo tengo varios y no hemos llegado a los otros, pero te voy a explicar.
No, pero este 3.
Sí.
Usted lo contrató porque había una capacidad intelectual y una experiencia específica con la parte que necesitaba ayuda.
Sí.
La primera era SOBs.
Sí. La primera...
No, a Real Estate Owned Banking.
REO.
REO.
Ajá, REO. Esas son propiedades que son del banco, que ya el banco la ha cogido. Yo sabía que yo quería entrar a ese mercado.
Okay.
No tenía ni idea cómo comenzar.
Okay.
Y cuando comencé a buscar un mentor, dije, bueno, tengo que buscar a alguien que yo pueda decir, así es que yo quiero que mi negocio sea. Alguien que ya no solamente tenía los contactos, que tenía la experiencia, que tenía el equipo, pero que estaba dispuesto a enseñarme una forma que me iba a motivar. Y ahí fue que yo comencé a entrevistar. Y ahí fue que yo contraté a la número 1 en el país. Ella se llama Oana Miller.
Sí.
Ella tenía un equipo, ella vendía 1000 casas todos los años que eran específicamente del banco.
Del banco.
Y cuando nos sentamos, yo le dije, yo quiero ser tú.
Es la segunda.
Esa es la primera. Yo le dije a Oana, yo quiero ser tú. Yo quiero que tú me enseñes cómo entrar, los contactos. Esto es lo que quiero hacer entre los próximos 12 meses.
Sí.
Y quiero establecer ese tipo de negocio.
Sí.
Y eso fue lo que hicimos. Cuando ya
¿Y cómo entraste en contacto con ella? ¿La llamaste?
Sí.
¿O la conociste en un network? ¿Cómo he hecho los contactos?
Por el sistema de Tom Ferry.
Ok.
Okay. Cuando ya yo tenía esa base, estaba totalmente... Estaba operando perfecto. Ella me llevó hasta el punto que ella me podía llevar. Yo dije, bueno, yo quiero crear un equipo.
Ok.
Nos abrazamos, hicimos un beso, hiciste todo lo posible por mí. Busqué a una persona que no solamente ha creado un equipo, pero que ha vendido un equipo, que entiende la base de cómo comenzar, cómo atraer personas.
Perfecto.
Y cómo funciona para venderlo.
Ok.
Entonces ahí fue que otra vez volví al sistema de Tom Ferry, entrevisté unas cuantas personas y me conecté con una persona que tenía el mismo tipo de personalidad que tengo yo.
Listo.
Y con ella me fui por un año y ella me explicó todo. Así que vamos a comenzar el equipo, así lo vamos a preparar para el día que tú digas, estoy lista, puedo vender. Y comenzamos a hacer ejercicio por un año. Y ahí fue que comenzó el equipo.
Listo.
Entonces el equipo era pequeño, estábamos 9 personas. Cuando ya yo sabía que quería llegar al próximo punto, que quiero de verdad ampliar el equipo y quiero tener un equipo que sea táctico y que entienda que siempre sea cuál es el próximo paso y cómo hacerlo, y con la tecnología, que somos número 1 en todo, no solamente en ventas,
sí,
pero que entendemos la tecnología.
Que tenemos los sistemas.
Que tenemos los sistemas y que entendemos el dinero, cómo va a funcionar la inversión. Ahí fue que comencé a buscar a alguien que era un CEO.
Un coach que tenía una experiencia que...
Pero no solamente un coach de una experiencia de un equipo, sino un coach de una experiencia de una compañía.
De una compañía, de una empresa, sí, de verdad.
Sí.
Sí.
Y ahí fue que contraté a Andy Nazaroff, que él era el CEO de Berkshire Hathaway.
Muy importante.
Sí.
Este es lo insight que yo quiero traer aquí. Yo quiero que... Es muy importante en español porque muchas personas no entienden lo que están buscando. Él lo contrata un coach cualquier y después... lo ponga la culpa en los coach. No eres los coach, eres tú que no sabes lo que estás buscando.
Exactamente. Entonces yo buscaba personas
específica para una dor que tenía en aquel momento.
Donde yo necesitaba ayuda. Y escúchame, dije Berkshire Hathaway, pero era Better Homes and Gardens.
Better Homes and Garden.
Pero sí, entonces cuando ya Andy me llevó hasta el punto que él podía, dije, bueno, ¿qué es próximo? Necesito reclutar. Recruiting, necesito eso. Y necesito más entender cómo puedo llevarlo a un nivel, no solamente en mi área, pero en el país y después mundial.
Listo.
Entonces busqué mi próximo coach, Brian Ellington, que es una de las personas que en realidad llevó a Keller Williams a un punto mundial. Y ahí fue que él entró, vio todo y me dijo, no, esto es lo que tenemos que mejorar, esto es lo que tenemos que arreglar, estos son los sistemas que necesitas. Y me dijo, tú necesitas un CEO, ya tú no lo puedes hacer sola. Sí. Tú necesitas más personas que estén en el nivel de... Operacional.
Para operar.
Y ya tú vas a salir de las operaciones todo diario y más pensar en cómo uno puede llegar a un punto más, no solamente para la compañía, pero ampliar.
Muy rico esta información. Muchas gracias por dividir esto conmigo, porque en español. Porque a veces explicamos en inglés, él no lo comprende, ahora tenemos español también, porque ahora tú sabes cómo seleccionar un coach, un consultor correcto para su empresa. No solamente una persona que tiene educación, sino una persona que tiene educación en experiencia.
Tiago, déjame decirte una cosa. Siempre cuando yo estaba haciendo una entrevista, le preguntaba la pregunta.
¿Cuál?
¿Cuánto dinero tú te ganaste el año pasado? ¿Cuántos años tú tienes en esto? ¿Cuál es lo que tú estás viendo para los próximos 5 años en tu propio negocio? Porque eso es importante para mí.
Dale.
Eso es importante. Si tú estás haciendo lo mismo que yo o menos.
¿Por qué?
No vale la pena. Tiene que ser alguien que tú digas, eso es lo que yo quiero.
Damn it. Ok, so how much... Vamos falar em português aqui então. Peraí, você falou quanto que você vendeu ano passado, quanto que você ganhou ano passado,
Yo sé que son preguntas íntimas.
No, pero
necesito
yo quiero
saber.
contratar a alguien que tenga una capacidad intelectual mejor que yo.
Claro, claro. Entonces no es algo íntimo, sino es algo que tú necesitas saber. Porque si la persona está en lo mismo que tú, está haciendo lo mismo,
Sí.
te vas a quedar ahí. Yo quiero
¿Para
alguien que
qué yo
diga,
necesito una
"Wow".
persona que está al mismo nivel que yo? Yo quiero
Wow.
alguien que está de superior porque yo quiero llegar a donde estás.
Claro.
Listo.
Yo quiero ver, wow. Y le preguntaba, ¿cuáles son los sistemas que tú usas?
This is amazing. Muchas gracias por compartir en español. This is what I try to preach to the entrepreneurs once a month, right? Why would I go to a network event to listen to a doggy pony show?
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to spend time elsewhere. I'm going to go play golf. I'm going to go race cars. Go do whatever you want, because just to go to a network event, to put a dumb name tag and to shake hands around doesn't make sense.
I agree with you. I agree.
We've been doing this for quite a while, you know, like I've been putting events together at the Harvard Club in New York for hedge fund managers since 2013. And then, you know, I came back to the immigrant community, and it's not that different. You know, if you're not adding value, if you're not making an impact on people's lives like the way you did it, right, with the short sales, helping families to keep their homes, helping families to purchase their new homes, to keep their dreams or to build their dreams, if you're not giving, you're not going to get. And I think for a lot of entrepreneurs out there, based on the experience that we have of having over 10,000 commercial clients within BRZ today, very few of them understands this biblical concept of giving. Give first, be open, and expect that it will come in return. In networking events, it's always about getting, not giving.
Can I add to that?
Yeah.
You had said something earlier that one of your parents had said, always, do you want to be the worst in the group?
Right.
So I learned this years ago. Whenever I go to a network event, I identify these are the people I want to be like.
Right.
I don't want to be in the group that everyone's like, oh, Michelle, you're doing so great. How did you do that? That means I'm the one that's doing the. I don't want that. I want to go into the group and I'm asking them, how did you do that?
Right.
Show me. I want to be the one with the least amount of
Right.
net worth. I want to be the one that's just starting and they're over here and I want to hang out with those people.
100%.
I tell you, when you go to these events and you identify the people that you want to be like and you pick their brain and you ask the questions and shut up, because that's one of our biggest problems. We go there, I'm like, Diego, how do you do this? And then I just go on for the next 30 minutes telling you when I should just ask you, Diego, how did you do this?
How'd you do it?
And become a sponge.
Yeah.
You know, and become a sponge.
And
then
that has
how
been
can
an
I
exercise.
be of value to you?
You're an extrovert, right? How did you move into this introversion side and learn to become a good listener? Because I'm sure you weren't like this in the beginning.
My daughter told me years ago, Mom, you don't listen. You don't listen. And she was right.
Yeah.
Because anytime that someone started talking, I always wanted to just give my input.
Mm-hmm.
And that is such a big mistake.
Yeah.
If I sit here and just listen.
I was like that.
Yeah.
Even my first podcast, my first episodes.
It was all you?
This actually has been the most beautiful life learning journey I've ever experienced. The feedback from my audience helped me to grow.
I love that.
Isn't it amazing?
I love that.
They weren't my kids. They were my audience. They're like, can you let the person speak? And I will read those things. And it's actually all the way up to episode 10. And there's nothing better than the harsh truth.
Yep.
So I'm grateful for them, for that learning experience. But anyways, so now you built the team. Now you conquered the number one Century 21. What's next for you?
So that's when we really started thinking greater,
Okay.
right? We started thinking about what can we do for the community? How can I teach others? And that was a big question that everyone had on their mind. Well, why would you teach others?
Right.
They're going to be competition.
Right.
You know, you're going to lose business. And, you know, the coach that I had, Brian, which I still have, he really pushed, Michelle, it's just going to make you the expert in the community.
100%.
And that's where people fail to think.
Brazilians have that problem. I truly believe that. You know, we train them to stay.
Yeah.
But if they leave, well, I'm happy that we made an impact on their
Yes.
lives.
Yes.
That's awesome.
I look at people like Tom Ferry or Ryan Serhant.
Right.
These people that are big names. They're out there every day telling you exactly what they do.
100%.
And what happens, it just really, cements in your mind that these are the experts. That when you want to look for advice, you look towards them.
Right.
They're not losing any business. They're actually making themselves
The market is abundant.
Of course.
You can't,
Of course.
you can't sell all the homes in Massachusetts by yourself.
Yeah.
It's impossible.
I've done coaching in the past, and I've actually coached other team members or coached other team leads.
Right.
And then they say, you know what, this is not for me. I want to be part of your team.
Right.
Or this is not for me, and they would send me agents. Or this is not for me, and whatever would happen, but it would pay 10 times for the investment that I put in. And it makes me feel good.
It's priceless.
It makes me feel good. I truly believe
amazing.
that when you
So if you reach that inflection point right now where, you're sharing your knowledge. You're
I've been
training the
doing
next
that for
generation.
years, but we're about to launch something special, so I'm excited about that.
Can you share?
Not just yet.
Not just yet. Stay tuned, guys.
Stay
Follow
tuned.
her.
Stay tuned. But we're looking at other things. We're looking at production.
Right.
We're looking at JV partnerships with other companies. Where can we grow, not only in our business, but within our community so that we can really be of value. It's not about just money, right?
Yep.
It's a small part of it, right?
100%.
But it's about everything else that comes with it.
I have an idea that just came to mind. Once we shut down the cameras, I'm going to share with you. I think there's a project emerging here. I love this.
Go.
Isn't this amazing? This is so exciting. No, this is great. And you have 3 beautiful children or 2?
I do. I have a son who's 30. I have a daughter who's 28. She's also my business development manager. And I have a 22-year-old, Jocelyn, in Arizona.
I mean, can you please share your diet with us? Look how gorgeous you look. You have a
gosh, you're so
30-year-old?
I have a 30-year-old. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm excited. So, my kids are my life.
Yeah.
Just like a lot of us are. And it's interesting because, like I said, my daughter...
Are they all 3 in real estate or no?
No, just my middle daughter.
Just
she
your
works
middle
for
daughter.
me.
Okay.
So that's a whole different podcast in itself.
Okay.
Right? Because she's really helped.
That's a series.
Well,
I'm just kidding, not an episode.
It really is. But let me tell you, she's taught me a lot.
I'm sure.
This. She's taught me a lot. And I remember, a few years ago, we had a serious conversation. She said, you sucked as a mom.
Yeah.
Because I was so involved in work.
Yeah.
But she said to me, you're such an amazing team lead. That it was eye-opening.
Yeah.
And it really made me change not only my leadership skills, but the way I interact with people.
That's amazing. And I mean, a lot of people are not ready for these honest feedback, and those are the best ones.
I'm open to it.
Yeah,
I'm open to it, and I want it. And I encourage it from my team.
That's awesome.
And they say things like, you're crazy. It's too much, but I want
No, I
that.
want it too.
I'm
the same way. We usually go from the top down, but why not the bottom up feedback?
And really diving deep into that feedback, about a year ago, we opened up our books to our team. Every month. Yeah. These are our numbers. Yeah. Every day.
We do it once a month.
Yeah.
We call it a global meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's so important.
It's important.
It's so important because they see where you're reinvesting.
The struggle where we're reinvesting, where where we're doing well, where we're not.
And not only that, we actually vote on things. We say, okay, we have X amount of money available for the next quarter. Where do we invest in this?
Amazing.
And by them having that feedback, they're invested in it.
Yeah, they are.
They're invested. They know that I care about what their feelings are, and they're part of this. They're soldiers on the ground, right?
Brilliant.
So it makes a big difference when you say, hey, this is what we have, and what are your thoughts?
Yeah.
So, and they're part of that decision making, a portion of it. It just changes the mindset for everything. And I think very few companies actually do that.
No, they're very few. This is not and especially almost non-Latino companies does that, right? We have a saying that's like, I don't want my employees to see that I have a new house. I don't want my employees to see that I have a new boat. No, I do want them to see it, the new house, the boat, whatever it is, because we're prospering. And if you're a business owner and you're hiding away from your employees, most likely you're not paying them well enough.
That's right.
So, you're just not a good human being, put it this way. So, and that's the competitive advantage of BRZ. We have so many resumes that we can't hire. And people are often saying, oh, I'm struggling to find people. I'm like, I don't have the budget to hire all the resumes that comes through the door.
Yeah.
Which is the other way around. Because once you build a culture like the way you're building, you're never short of talent.
Well, you can be short of talent. I think that our business is very different because we're all commission-based. And that's one of the biggest components that we have with commission-based companies, right? That you come in and they see a luxury or a falsity of what things are. And then when they come in and understand the reality of you having to have a much more structured life than what you expected, becomes a disappointment to some people.
Right. So for someone who's thinking of quitting today the real estate industry, what would you tell them? Look in that camera, give them a message.
I'm going to tell them the same thing that's thinking about quitting the real estate business. Well, if you're full-time and if you're in this, you really look at what your business is doing. What did you do last year? What did you do the year before? What did you change? If you didn't change anything, that's a common denominator right there. But I would look for people that are going to help you as far as mentorship. So look for people that you aspire to be like. If you can't afford a coach, look for accountability groups. But really sitting down and having an honest discussion with yourself is a key component. And I think that a lot of us say, oh, I'm working 40 hours. Write it down.
Right.
There's a great book called The 12-Week Work Year. And it's something that we actually practice. And I think that we say, yes, we're busy, but we're busy doing bullshit stuff,
100%.
non-money making activities. Are you really busy on those activities that are producing money, that are producing future revenue, right? And I've had this conversation with many agents. Well, I'm busy. I'm looking at MLS. Screw that. Your busy should be out there creating business. Your business should not be writing offers. That is something that you can push off. Your business should be creating more business. The things that you can't push off, that's what your day should be full of. I haven't written a contract in 5 years. I wouldn't even know how.
Me too. I haven't written a policy in a while, so people reach out to me. I was like, no, I'm an operator now, right? So I'm no longer a technician. So there's another great book. It's called The E-Myth, right? Between being the technician, the manager, and the entrepreneur, the owner. So those are three different hats. And today, I own the hat of the owner. I'm no longer a manager. I'm not managing staff anymore, and I'm definitely not a technician.
But you're involved in money making activities.
That's it.
If it's not, when you actually look at your day and you say, okay, what did I do?
Right.
If this isn't worth what your value is, then 100%. Why the hell are you doing it? Push it out. Push it out.
Push it out.
And I think that that's one of the biggest issues that people have. Well,
Say no.
Well, they don't want to delegate because they don't want to spend the $10, $15, $20 an hour to do something. So they rather lower themselves. So now what does that mean? Now your time is worth $20 an hour.
Then we're saying lowering your value, not yourself, right?
Yes.
So it's like lowering your hour. And it's so true. I have this debate quite a lot with folding clothes, for instance, right? I'm like, dude, folding clothes is just a thing that I refuse to do it. Like, another thing is cooking food.
Yes,
I do it because I love it, but, I wanted to precisely package. I can just eat it and go. When I'm cooking because I enjoy the cooking experience in the moment. But there are things that, as you grow, you start realizing what your hours worth, how much am I worth, and am I allocating these resources, like you said, the 12-week, right? It comes down to that.
So look at your day, right? Where can you delegate the little BS stuff so that you can focus more on the money-making activities that really push you forward?
I mean, a lot of contractors, right? What percentage of their day that they actually utilize it to sell? And then they complain that they don't have enough work. I mean, what activities are you actually doing to generate new sales? But anyways, that's a new podcast. I want to thank you for everything you shared. I think it's a beautiful story. I wouldn't be able to do this without even your support. This podcast, this studio is financed by all BRZ clients. So each one of the 45,000 clients that we have make this possible. And this initiative was put together in order to create the library that you and I wish we had access to when we first started.
Yes.
Yeah. Because back then we didn't have a library of knowledge that
That's
we
right.
could go to and say, can I learn with someone else's mistakes?
That's right. But we have access to that now by really looking, for people that are in our community that can help us get to that next level.
And we have so many episodes with contractors, painters, cleaners. Just listen to their story. To your point, 3 key insights.
Yep.
It doesn't have to be 10.
Yep.
Take just 3.
Yep.
Write
I
them
agree.
down, implement it, and you have you will be able to perform better, be able to generate more revenue, and improve your profits.
Improve your life, right? That's
life.
the important part.
That's the important part. Any closing statements, anything that you wanted to share with our followers?
There's so many. I think really a big component of success in my life has been that I've always been honest. And when I say honest, I'm saying honest about who I am and what needs to change and how I can change it. So really be honest with your life and where can I improve, and then identify people that can help you, whether it's a family member, a mentor, a therapist, whatever that may be. Because we're all fucked up.
100%.
Right? We are all fucked up.
I spent
and I don't
2
know if I
hours-
could swear on this.
Oh, you can. No, this is not a religious podcast. You
So
can.
we are all fucked up. We all
Broken.
need
We're
help.
all broken.
We all need help.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about just personal. I'm talking about your business, your family. Where can you improve? And my whole motto in life now is I just need to improve 1% a day. If I can improve my life, my physical well-being, my spiritual well-being, my business, then everything else is a compound effect.
You know who's the easiest person to bullshit?
Yourself.
Ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's nothing more important than having an accountability coach person in your life. What you just described there. And I have a better one. I'm a kintsu. The Japanese vase.
Yeah.
I'm broken and I'm putting myself together with gold.
Yes.
Eventually I'm going to be beautiful, but right now I'm still missing a few pieces.
Yes.
I'm going to get there. That's what we are.
I remember telling one of my coaches one time, and I know that we're closing up, but I remember saying on our first meeting, I said, I'm a fraud. I have a great business, but I feel like I'm a fraud because I don't feel like I should be here. I don't feel like I'm, performing at a level of greatness. And that's where you're going to help me.
I'm going to send you to my therapist.
There you go.
So my therapist, actually, no, this is important. We're closing, but look at this. So the way we were parented and the way we were conditioned has a lot to do with who we are.
Yes.
Right? And to your point, we're so broken and putting our pieces together, figuring shit out. If anyone comes to me and says, I know what I want, I was like, wow, impressive, because I'm still trying to figure out what I want.
Me too.
I know what I definitely know what I don't want.
Mm-hmm.
But the therapy and the business coaching for an entrepreneur is vital.
Mm-hmm.
It will help you with your team. It will help you with your clients. It will help you with your family. So if I can share one piece of advice, invest in that.
Mm-hmm.
It will be the biggest return on your money.
Mm-hmm.
That's my opinion. I invest 2 hours a week on my mind every week, apart from the workout. Because if you're not working out, you're not taking care of your body. You're not taking care of your mind. You're not taking care of your spirit.
Yep. You're not whole.
You're not whole. You can't perform at your best.
Yep.
You can't be number one.
That's right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. This was a pleasure.
Thank you for keeping up with this in multiple languages. I know this is a very unusual episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We're going to add the subtitles. So it is a pleasure to create in 3 languages.
Yes.
So until the next one, stay tuned.
Thank you.